Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. It is February the 17th today, I believe. Is it? Yep, 17th today. It's a warm day for a change, in the 50s, and some of the hives are having a cleansing flight. Some of these bees have been born over the fall and have never actually flown before, so there's a lot of orientation around as well. But these bees are out doing a cleanse, having a poop in the snow, and so far this hive looks pretty good. So it's normally I would not be opening up a hive at this time of year, because you can usually tell all you need to know from the fact that number one, they're flying, and number two, how heavy the hive feels. And hard to grip hold of this one, but this hive has still got a lot of honey in there. There's still a good 50 pounds of honey in here, I would say. So they've got a long way to go. And the other hives I've checked so far still have a lot of honey in the hive. So things are looking quite promising. Let's have a little peek inside the top, just so we can see what's going on. I do not recommend that you open up the hive at this time of year, but I make videos and I'm showing you what's going on. These are mostly using the upper entrance. Pull off the insulation and have a quick peek under the homosoap board into the feeding area. And doesn't that look good? You want to come right in if you can. So the cluster is looking good. I can see lots of honey at this end of the frames. They're a little bit in the corners there, in that corner. So I will maybe move this patty nearer into the middle of it. And I can see these frames are full of honey, and they're really in touch with this honey here. So they've still got lots of honey. I've also got a lot of the bees clustered up here. Now this time of year, I don't mind the bees clustered up there, but in another month or two, I'll be shaking them down and putting my foil covers on to push those bees into the frames where they can do more good. But for right now, we'll close this up and let them stay warm. As I just repeat, don't open the hives unless you need to. Testing the weight of the hive will usually tell you everything you need to know. But because you folks have been waiting so patiently to see inside some beehives, I thought I'd show you one so you don't have to open yours. So far so good. We're expecting today's about 50, 52 degrees. Tomorrow is due to be in the 50s also. Then it's going to get cold again. So we're in the roller coaster of February. This is the time of year when things can go up and down, and if the hive is well insulated, we should be good there. And with little problems, the bees are chilling because of the cold. But if the hive is not insulated, or you've just got thin insulation on, this is the time of year when problems can really occur, because if the temperature drops down 40 degrees over the space of a few hours, which it can often do at this time of year, that's when we have a real problem, because the cluster can't get together. Right now, this is a fully developed cluster. If the sun comes out and it warms up another degree or two, this cluster is going to break apart and the bees will be all over the hive. And then if it gets cold, if there wasn't any insulation, those clusters start forming all over the hive because they literally can't get together in time. So that's why we worry about sudden changes in temperature when hives have low or no insulation on them. But a well-insulated hive like this should have no issues with it at all. The bees are very curious that there's a new landmark here kneeling next to their hive. Got all sorts of friends here coming to say hello. It's the time of year when your bee suit gets absolutely covered in bee poop, because they've been crossing all 6 legs the last couple of months, and they're ready to let it go. So a nice warm day like today is a good chance for them to do just that. I hope your bees are okay. I'm not going to be spending too much time opening hives maybe check the weight of a few, but I haven't come across one that's lightweight yet. So although I've heard some folks are finding their hives pretty lightweight or even having run out of food already, I'm afraid what that probably means is that they went into the winter with a lot less honey than they thought they went into the winter with. Really, it really pays to make sure that your hive is well filled with honey during the fall. Feeding them at this time of year is a poor substitute, but it's the only way you can save them if they are lightweight. We've got another couple of months right now. They probably only used honey at a rate of about 1 or 2 pounds per week up to this point. But now we're starting to get those warmer weather, the longer day lengths, they're going to start rearing brood. And we're going to go from using a couple of pounds a week of honey to 5, maybe 10 pounds of honey per week by the time we get into March. So we want to have that 50 pounds of honey in here right now to make sure we get to that point. And by then we hopefully can actually feed them with a bit of sugar syrup as well. And there's a lot of bees flying here, although they're landing all over Amy, who's holding the camera right now. I also noticed Amy didn't zip up a veil.
She did not.
No bees in a veil at the moment.
Not yet.
But that will be the funny bit. If that happens, I'm grabbing the camera and pointing it at Amy as we watch her jump up and down. In fact, I'll take the camera from Amy so she can zip up.
I don't know. I don't know that I want to disturb them all that much right now. So
I think we're good there. We'll just get this one here.
There we go. I'm good.
That's where the bees are, mostly on your left shoulder. But it is good to see the bees flying. Doesn't it feel good to have that hum of bees around?
Oh, it does. It does. I've missed this.
It feels like spring.
Yeah.
This time of year, you go into the bee yard and you go in there and go, oh, it's cold, it's horrible. And then you're suddenly surrounded by happy flying bees, and it sort of feels like spring.
It really does feel like spring today.
I really just love that sort of change in your feeling about the bees as you go. You start to feel that winter is disappearing when you have the warm buzz of bees around you. Although there's a lot of dead bees here, this looks nice and clean by comparison. A little bit of poop here, some dead bees here. These bees are probably mostly from bees being dragged out of the hive to keep it clean. And what the bees will do is they will, by choice, leave the hive to die, but if it's cold, like it's been for the last month, most of them die in the hive. And so their sisters have the job of cleaning them out while they can.
And a lot of times you'll go to a hive and you'll go to that lower entrance, and a lot of times it'll be just clogged up with dead bees as well, from bees that have died over the winter. Oh, here's nice. This is nice.
Yeah, there's plenty of bees in
Look
here. The
at that.
cluster's hanging from the top. Still lots of honey around here. I'm not going to disturb this cluster, but we've got a nice big cluster of bees there.
That's what you want to see right there.
Happy cluster. Have a quick look in this one too. A lot of the hives I've seen, the cluster is still well down in the hive. This is probably one of those. Yeah. Cluster is much lower down, will not disturb them. They're down about here. And in another month, we'll see them at the top. But right now, there's no point in having a look because now we don't see anything else. See that they've got plenty of honey. We'll open up one more hive.
Got quite a few riders on you too right now.
Yeah. Problem with the snow is you can't see where the stuff is on the ground, so you're stepping on all of the obstacles, like pallets and stuff. Again, I saw bees coming in and out of here, but the cluster is further down. So it's great because it means they've got all of this honey here as yet untouched, but the cluster is down there. I saw bees coming in and out of here, so I know we've got a live cluster down there, but the bees have hardly got through. They've got at least 50 pounds, maybe 60 pounds of honey to go. That puts them in very good stead. So hives that have 50, 60 pounds of honey, I've got no hesitation about giving them pollen patties pretty soon, because with that amount of honey in there, I'm not going to run out of honey before they're able to get sugar syrup and that sort of thing. So what I'll be doing when we have some more warm weather, I've put some pollen substitute in my open feeder, but it's not been quite warm enough for the bees to forage for it yet. So this is my first spring flower that the bees might find. Little kitty litter box with a bit of pollen substitute in it. And although it seems that a local squirrel is helping himself to some of the pollen substitute as well, as soon as the bees feel it warm enough and there isn't any natural pollen about, they find this stuff and they'll be all over it, and they'll treat it like an enormous flower. In another week or two, we should see bees in here rolling about in the pollen substitute to sort of rub it off themselves, pack it into their legs and get some more, and there'll be bees here by the thousands pretty shortly. But seems it's just a little bit too cold for them to make use of this. You can put hot pollen substitute in all sorts of ways, but I do this in a nice bright yellow container so the bees find it a little more easy. They'll check it out before they check other stuff out. So there's no signs of them checking it out yet, but given a couple of warm days, they should be at it pretty soon. But any time now when we start getting those days in the 50s, we'll see bees coming to the pollen substitute feeders. And I know I can do that safely because there's lots of honey in the hives. I don't see any sign of bees running out of food or even getting close to it. And that's why you wouldn't feed pollen if you knew they're getting low on food. Okay. So that's it at the bee yard right now. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time.